Today, I'm going to be talking a bit about Radiohead's debut album, Pablo Honey, and why, while it is definitely their worst album, it does have its moments, and it is important to establishing their later style. This is going to be our first video in a series of Radiohead reviews, so if you like this one, make sure you subscribe to see when the next ones come out. Radiohead formed in 1985 in Abingdon, a town near Oxford in England. All 5 original members are still in the band. If they are still a band, it's kind of unclear right now. So they're Tom York, the vocalist, Johnny Greenwood, the guitarist, Colin Greenwood, the bassist, Ed O'Brien, the other guitarist, but he also does the backing vocals, and Phil Selway, the drummer. They met while attending a private all-boys school, and their first band name was On a Friday, because they rehearsed on a Friday after school every week. They stopped working together for a few years to focus on things like college and schoolwork and whatever, but they regrouped in 1991. They recorded a demo and soon after, EMI signed them. But there was one condition: they had to change the name, because EMI thought On a Friday wasn't super marketable, and I have to agree. The band picked the name Radiohead, taken from the song Radiohead by Talking Heads off their album True Stories. And it fit what the band would later become: abstract, a little techie, and a bit cold. You're so fucking special. So before OK Computer, before Kid A, before A Moon-Shaped Pool, there was Pablo Honey. This album feels like your high school yearbook photo from 10 years ago. It's the same person that you are now, but you really wish it wasn't. It was released in 1993 and it is very 1993. Britpop was the shit, Nirvana was everywhere, and Radiohead, 5 art students with a pile of guitars and a decent amount of musical knowledge, were figuring out what kind of band they actually wanted to be. Spoiler alert, it was not this one, and thank God it wasn't. Musically, this album is like if someone fed an AI all the B-sides from the early 90s alt-rock thing and said, make it British and sad. So just make it British. Like, you've got your crunchy guitars, your loud, quiet dynamics, your vaguely angsty lyrics, but none of it really lands the way that it wants to, I think. Apparently, they originally wanted this album to be produced by noise rock legend Steve Albini, who would later be known for his work on Nirvana's In Utero and Big Black's music, but the label felt it was a little risky because they wanted Radiohead to be mainstream, and Steve Albini had yet to work with any mainstream artist. I know I just said he would work with Nirvana, but that hadn't happened yet. As I said, lyrically, Pablo Honey is very teenage angsty. You know, it's all about alienation and longing, which are core themes to all of Radiohead's music, I would say, but they will be better explored and discussed on their later albums, in the same way that everything was better on their later albums. And obviously, Creep is the centerpiece of those ideas on this album. It's also just the centerpiece of the album in general, more on that later. Generally, this album is not terrible, but not particularly memorable. It has a couple good songs, but the rest are just fairly mediocre. As for the best songs, obviously we've got to talk about Creep. Let's be real, unless you are already one of my few subscribers, which you can join by just clicking the subscribe button down below, by the way, just saying. The reason you clicked on this video is probably something to do with this song. You can't talk about Pablo Honey without talking about Creep. Hell, you can hardly talk about Radiohead without talking about Creep. You know it, I know it, again, you probably already know this, but it's about Tom York's experience with liking a girl on his college campus and always seeing her around, but not feeling confident enough to do anything about it. It's the song that made the band famous, and the song that they hated for the rest of their career. It's a sad boy anthem that was a global smash hit, mostly because it tapped into the I'm weird and nobody gets me feeling that a lot of nerdy teenagers and young adults have. So basically all of Radiohead's future fan base. Like, it's still a fairly good song, I think. I really like Johnny Greenwood's guitar slash before the chorus starts. And yeah, it's pretty good, but they've definitely made much better stuff since. I'd say the other best song is Blowout. It's a bit of a weird one because it honestly sounds more like something off of The Bends or maybe even OK Computer than Pablo Honey. It opens with this kind of jazzy, off-kilter guitar playing, and a sense of creativity that the rest of the album just forgot that it had. It builds slowly, and then collapsing in this just really noisy, feedback-covered freak out. Tom's vocal delivery is really ghostly instead of grungy, which is what would later become his kind of iconic style of singing that people know him for today. As for the worst songs, I'm not going to talk about all of them because there's quite a few. I'm just going to stick to the bottom of the barrel. How Do You? This is Radiohead at their most chaotic early career energy, but it's not very good. It's 2 minutes of just okay grunge, if I'm being honest. In fairness to Thom Yorke, he's trying, I'll give him that, but it's like a lot of songs in this album. The only real distinction between the chorus and the verse is that the chorus is somewhat louder. It just lacks structure, really, and its only saving grace is that it's just 2 minutes long. I'd say the other worst song is Stop Whispering. I mean, this one's technically not the worst, but it's a good case study in what Radiohead hadn't figured out yet. It wants to be big, and it wants to be emotional, it wants to be anthemic, it wants to be street spirit, but it just kind of washes over you. It doesn't really leave any impact, it doesn't really climax well, it's just there. And the lyric, stop whispering, start shouting, is ironically the most pathetic rebellion I think I've ever heard. As I said, you can hear that they were trying on this one, it just doesn't work out too well for them. As for the album cover, it's fine. It's fairly abstract, but I haven't got a clue as to what the intentions behind it are other than just they needed to have an album cover. So, is Pablo Honey a great Radiohead album? Have you been listening? Fuck no, of course not. Is it even a good Radiohead album? Debatable, maybe. But is it an important Radiohead album? Yes. Every band has to start somewhere. For Radiohead, this was like the necessary ugly duckling phase before it grew into the swan in the bends, got sad in OK Computer, and started getting to hard psychedelic drugs in Kid A. Overall, I'm giving this album 6.3 creeps. Recommend it if you're a Radiohead fan to see where they came from. Other than that, I wouldn't bother. So, yeah, that's my opinions on Pablo Honey. Let me know what you think. Does it deserve the hate? Is Creep still a banger? How many times did I say creep in this video? Probably too many. Should we all just pretend that Radiohead's career started in 1995 with the Bends? I would like to, but can't really, unfortunately. Speaking of the Bends, I will be talking about that album next week, or whenever the next video comes out, probably next week. Make sure you subscribe to see it, and I'll see you then. Bye.